Do not let the haters' general calm demeanor in this video belie anything else other than the fact that the hater was just at a funeral, motherfucks. It was a black funeral. The hater is white. I felt like James Marsden in every black comedy, you know what I mean? I was like the only white person there. But I do gotta say this, black people, you guys know how to do funerals, man. It was a beautiful ceremony, full of vibrant communication. It was just amazing. I feel better. The hater doesn't really believe in God, but that funeral took me one step closer. But now that we got that out of the way, to explain why I'm so calm, because I'm gonna explain to you that I'm actually infuriated and enraged at WWE Unreal. I started watching this garbage last night and it pissed me off. All right, it actually made me angry up in this mug. And if it weren't for the fact that it was 3 a.m. and the hater has some standards, doesn't want to wake up his neighbors by screaming at the top of his lungs, I would have done the video last night. But here we are. I hate WWE Unreal. First of all, the show is full of lies. There's lie after lie after lie. You'd think it was a Sheamus match because all these lies were bangers of lies, massive lies, things that no reasonable person would believe. I'll give you a small scale example. Xavier Woods comes out and he introduces himself. He's like, my name is Austin whatever, Creed, right? But I go by Xavier Woods and I'm part of, by far, he's like everybody knows, it's the #1 tag team of all time, The New Day. No, it isn't. We all know that you know that it's not. Like, when The New Day is in their late 50s and have like maybe late 60s for them, and they have the resume of the Dudley Boys or the Hardy Boys, then, you know, we'll acknowledge them, right? Nowadays, the New Days, although they're a great tag team, it's like, you think anybody's gonna give a shit in 15 years about the New Day? Well, the Hardy Boys, like, people care about them today. So anyways, the point is, motherfucks, it's lies like that, right? Like, we have CM Punk coming out there, he was the worst. He was insufferable. In episode 1, he's like, I have a Hall of Fame career I can put up against anybody's. No, you don't, and no, you can't. No, you cannot put your Hall of Fame career up against, like, Edge's career. No, you can't put your Hall of Fame career up against The Undertaker's career, or Cena's career, or Triple H's career, or Shawn Michaels' career, or Hogan's career, or Ric Flair's career. There's like, I can rattle off another 15, 20 names, right, that have a much better career than CM Punk. CM Punk's career is like, maybe on a good day, like on the level of like Jeff Hardy's career. He's basically a Jeff Hardy. He was champion for a little bit longer, but he's basically a Jeff Hardy. He's just a mid-carder, you know, who like had some main event pushes, you know? But he wasn't really like a real main eventer. Like, for example, if you look at like Rey Mysterio, he's had a much better career than CM Punk, obviously. So anyways, it's these kinds of lies, right? Number one, that really pissed me off because they're clearly targeting with this show, like, not people like me and you, right? Because that's one of the questions that I had while watching this shit. I was like, who is this for? You know what I mean? It's not for WWE fans, clearly, right? This is for, like, two categories. The curious and the neckbeards, which sounds like a fucking daytime soap opera. The curious and the neckbeards. So anyways, the curious people that don't know anything about wrestling, but would like to find out something about it, and the neckbeards who want to know what Rhea Ripley's, like, panties smell like, you know? We've got all sorts of people that want to know too much. And that was the thing that I hated the most about this. Aside from the lies and the gaslighting, right? It was this, like, predisposition that the show had, at least in episode 1, to pretty much just sit down and just tell us, like, things that they want us to think. That I, as a longtime wrestling fan, know not to be true, right? And also, they're clearly trying to kind of manipulate the fans into thinking that things are more complicated than they are, right? So, like, I watched the first episode, and then just to see what they were going to say about it, I watched a little bit of, like, I think it was the 4th episode, the one called Heel, about a variety of people, but mostly John Cena, turning heel, right? And they made, like, this chart explaining, like, the decision of turning Cena heel. They were acting like they fucking rewrote Romeo and Juliet from scratch. It's fucking easy shit. You know, they're like, oh, we did a Zoom call for 45 minutes. Easy peasy, motherfucks. And to be completely honest, this was a disaster, right? They act like they did something amazing. They did one of the worst things, in my personal opinion, in WWE history. And they're talking about it as if it's like this magnum opus, as if all these like brilliant minds collectively came together to come up with the brilliant idea of turning Cena heel, which people have been talking about for like 20 years, you know? And they act like the execution was this like wow moment, like how could anyone do this? First of all, people did see it coming. I predicted it like 2 videos before Elimination Chamber. I'm like, they might even turn Cena heel, I said. You know, it wasn't this crazy surprise. But more importantly, what I hated the most about the episode and a half that I watched was in the heel episode, these motherfucks sit down, right? And they're doing this like fucking annoying thing where nobody wants to take credit of the brilliant idea to turn Cena heel. And then it's like Bruce Pritchard and some guy called Koski. Koski and Pritchard look like the fucking same person, by the way. You know, where the fuck is Lee Fitting? Anyways, you got these guys in Triple H, right? And they're out there like having a Zoom call apparently, right? And they're talking about, they're like, we don't know who said it first. As if it's like this brilliant idea worth fighting about, right? It's like, who is this the first person to come up with this idea so we can give them credit, right? Then it gets even worse. After they agree to do this, Bruce Pritchard says, well, we could turn Cody, right? Or we could turn Cena. And they're like, this is a brilliant idea. Even though absolutely nothing has come of it, you know? And I understand at the time that they thought this through, and maybe even at the time where this was filmed, maybe this was filmed like right after Elimination Chamber, so maybe they thought something was going to come of it. But basically, the whole episode is about like the inner workings of how this heel turn came to be. So Triple H then says, I had to like keep this on the down low, right? Nobody could know, so the surprise wouldn't be ruined. So then, first of all, it's fucking, I don't believe that shit for a second. But because later in the same episode, CM Punk is like working on the finish of the match, and then he works the finish of the match as if he already knows that Cena's gonna turn heel, because he's like, I get stomped, and Cena sees it, and then like Seth Rollins is looking at me, and it's like he set up the match so that it would look like Cena was taking advantage of like a destroyed CM Punk, which is exactly what happened, right? Which is very antithetical to how Cena is supposed to operate. But anyway, neither here nor there. Going back to Triple H and how he like made this happen, right? So him, the Koski guy, and Bruce Pritchard agree, right? So Triple H is like, now I gotta tell everybody, right? You know, I gotta tell Cody, of course, The Rock, Cena, that's like the main guys to tell. And then he's like, and of course, Travis Scott. I almost fucking threw the hookah that I was smoking at the TV in anger when these fucking cocksuckers show like it's like a fucking flowchart. At the center of it is like Triple H, and it's him communicating with these people. So they draw a line from Triple H's square to different squares, and then like one square is Cena, the other square is like Cucky, and then the next square is The Rock, and then they put Travis Scott there. Like, why the fuck do you even need to tell Travis Scott? Triple H literally says motherfucks. He says it in this interview. He says, and we want to tell Travis Scott because we want to build it around him. You didn't build anything around him, you fucking dumbass. This like fucking infuriated me, guys. I have no idea how else I can articulate this. This made me so angry because the way that Triple H made it seem was as if this was some brilliant idea, number one. Number two, like this was centered and premised in any capacity around Travis Scott, which it obviously was not. It was not centered around Travis Scott. Anyone who's not retarded can tell you that having Travis Scott there was retarded. It made no sense. One of these supposed wrestling intellects should have said, wait a second, given that Travis Scott doesn't do fuck all in this segment, why is he here? Why is he here? And during this segment of this episode, I realized that I was right all along. Like what I said a couple days ago in one of my other videos, where I said the WWE has taken the inferior position, the beta male position when it comes to celebrities. Like you have The Rock meeting Travis Scott backstage. Maybe they're friends, I highly doubt it, but let's just say they are, right? They shake hands, and The Rock is like acting like Travis Scott is fucking prime Eminem. He's not even Nas, motherfucks. You know what I'm saying? And like Travis Scott is being relatively nonchalant with The Rock. I guess Travis Scott thinks to himself he's as big of a celebrity as The Rock. And why wouldn't he when The Rock treats him that way? You know? Like they have Nick Khan in the episode. He's like, you know, like Travis Scott is a fan. We love Travis Scott, so we thought, how can we get him involved? No, you didn't. No, either you didn't, or you are extremely stupid, which is obviously a possibility, right? Don't get it twisted. Just because people are in charge even if they're in charge of a multi-billion-dollar company, does not mean they're smart. At all, motherfuckers. Vince McMahon is obviously smart. He made this shit from scratch. But everybody else can be a complete moron. Like, as evidenced by what we saw in this episode, if you guys saw the episode. Right? He's like, we love Travis Scott. We want to get him involved. You didn't get him involved. You just had him there. This would be like saying, like, Alicia Taylor or whatever, the ring girl, right? Whatever the fuck she is, the announcer, like, she was involved. No, she wasn't. She was just there. Michael Cole wasn't involved. He was just there. Right? So what's happening here, motherfucks, is this complete and utter gaslighting of what actually they had planned. They have a scene. They show Triple H talking to The Rock. First of all, the interactions between these two are fucking awkward, right? The Rock's lies on like that Rock show where he's like, Triple H would go down to be one of my best friends is like so evidently not true. Like, they obviously don't like each other. You can tell from their interactions. They act like they don't want to be near each other. They act like all they got to do is talk that, and then The Rock just validates Triple H. He's like, I love this idea, right? And then Triple H is like, what do you think, Rock? You think that, like, The Rock and Cena had this plan all along, right? And The Rock's like, 100%. Oh, yeah? Because that's not how it went down. You know what I mean? That's not how you did it, motherfucks. You didn't play it up like that. None of this made any sense. You know, as far as I'm concerned, the final boss hasn't been seen since. Like, have we seen The Rock since Elimination Chamber? Even if he showed up, right? Which I don't think he did, but even if he showed up, like, it was in some bullshit capacity, you know? So, there you have it, you know what I mean? It's just a matter of principles at this point. We've got this show that is, I mean, I guess the third possibility is this show is trying to gaslight us actual fans. You know what I mean? Like, they're trying to tell us that, like, you know, that this is what was intended all along, but it's like we're not stupid. You know what I mean? I mean, that's not true. A lot of us are stupid. A lot of us are exceptionally stupid. But not all of us, cucks. Some of us are smart. And some of us are looking at this exactly how we're supposed to look at it. As some form of gaslighting, of gaslightery, and a bunch of horseshit lies just being told to us to cover for the fact that clearly they had no actual plan. Or, more likely in my opinion, that they did have a plan, but they're so stupid that they failed to execute it in any capacity. I refuse to believe that the plan was what we got. Cena turned heel on Cody, and The Rock and Travis Scott are also there for absolutely no reason. The Rock telling Cena, like, to turn on Cody was never explained. Everything else was explained by Cena as being motivated by Cena, right? Cena went around and said, oh, this was like basically my idea. I was gonna do this, blah, 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 blee, 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 right? Nothing else went around like it was supposed to. And this show, Unreal, makes it seem as if like everyone knew what was going on. And more importantly than that, because even if that were true, they make it seem as if this was some brilliant like setup and execution of one of the greatest moments of all time, right? And speaking of greatest moments of all time, then we cut to a CM Punk thing from episode 1 where he says, my return is the best return in wrestling history, bar none. What are you talking about? Like, this guy, like, I honestly believe CM Punk is like retarded. Like, I think he's just an extremely stupid guy. I mean, there's hints of this. Like, I thought he like wrote like a tweet or something. He doesn't know the difference between your and your, like, you know, you are versus your hat is missing, that kind of shit, right? He doesn't know that. He's not an intelligent human being. Like, and clearly he's not very self-aware, you know? This, strangely for him, has paid dividends, because I think if CM Punk were self-aware, he'd realize he's a jobber, and like I think he would have just had like a Funaki type career, which is exactly what he deserved. But he like has this crazy like weird self-assurance, right? It's not confidence because it's based on insanity. Like, there's a scene from episode 1 of him crying, right? Pretending, right? That like in the previews for the season, right? Him pretending that he did it because he main evented WrestleMania 1, like, you know, night 1. Like, he actually believes he's a WrestleMania main eventer. He's not. Like, I personally would imagine that he should know this inherently and intuitively, but he might not know, right? It's the same thing with like the world title. You know, there's a reason why, like, when Daniel Bryan wins the WWE title, he celebrates, even though he had been a multiple-time world champion. And that's because the World Heavyweight Championship, like, doesn't count, right? Same thing with CM Punk when he won the WWE title from Cena. Like, he celebrated because it was at SummerSlam and it was the real world title. It's not like him cashing in his Money in the Bank against, like, Edge, you know, for the World Heavyweight title, which doesn't count. So that's pretty much what I'm coming at right now, right? The fact of the matter is, motherfuckers, you can spin this however the hell you want to spin this. But I think, personally, we all know that this show is just a bunch of bullshit, right? It's just there to confuse the people that have no idea, like, how wrestling works, and to make them think that it's this intricate production, right? It's not that complicated. I mean, honestly, I think it'd be more interesting to see, like, how they actually set up the show, like the logistics of the show, versus how they set up the matches, because everyone's acting like it's this, like, complicated mess. Just go out there, do your 5 moves, do the finish, and that's it, motherfuckers. And the last thing I want to say is, I can't imagine, like, this shit happening with respect to Vince McMahon. Like, I don't ever see Vince McMahon. Like, Vince McMahon was an on-screen character, but you never saw the real Vince McMahon. In other words, you always only saw Mr. McMahon. There were rare instances of Vince, but mostly it was Mr. McMahon. And honestly, it wasn't until the Vince McMahon documentary, right, which kind of shed some light on Vince McMahon, because he's kind of like this iconic but shadowy figure, right? You only see him rarely. Now, compare that to how many times we have seen Paul Levesque, motherfucks. Not Triple H, Paul Levesque. We've seen Paul Levesque more in this year and a half than we've ever seen Vince McMahon. You know what I mean? And that speaks volumes. But that's another video for another time, cuckstas.